Okay, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It feels really weird because I've got a mic now. I hope that you guys can hear me better. I mean, that's the whole point of the mic. We are going to do another more sort of sit down type of video, sit down and talk type of video. I thought that today we could talk a little bit about that kind of idea of who am I outside of England. And obviously it might apply to you guys as well, but in a different setting. So you might have moved to America when you were like 18, or you might have moved to Germany, or also England, any kind of country that you might have moved to when you were quite young. You spend your whole sort of adult life in that country, and then you kind of realize that you want to move back to where you originally came from. And then you start thinking, but who am I actually outside of the country that I've lived in for the past 10, 15, or even 20 years? I think the first thing that I would like to talk about a little bit more is this notion of a kind of mind shift. So I know that years before I even considered moving to Germany, I'd already had this kind of mind shift of something just doesn't feel right. I remember like finishing my undergrad, so that would have been, oh my goodness, I think like 2022. So like 4 years ago now, I think. And I remember starting my masters and always having this kind of sense of there's something missing. Sense of I don't actually know if I want to be in this country. For me, it kind of manifested as I wanted to do my masters in Brighton, for example, so not in Bristol. Then while I was doing my masters, I kept saying to my partner, I really want to move to somewhere like Australia. Actually, at first it was Canada. I really wanted to move to Canada. And there was always this kind of sense of I just want to be away. I want to be in a different country. I want to be somewhere else. I don't know, I always just felt the sense of like there's just something missing. I guess part of me already started moving. Just something inside me always knew that I was going to move or I was going to go somewhere else. It's just always been this kind of sense of like I'm just like this unsettled like feeling. I guess once we actually agreed that we were going to move to Germany, when that happened, I think I slowly started thinking, who actually am I outside of this country? Like, you know, once you start telling your family, and I've now also started telling my friends like in Germany, obviously their life has changed completely and like their life has moved on as well. They are different people, so like they've got all these like different lives that they're living, and I'm starting to think, how am I going to fit into that? I mean, people over there know me from when I was literally in primary school, so like weird thoughts that you start having of like, how does my identity fit back into where I originally came from? And I guess another layer to that is also I've lived my entire adult life in England. So I moved when I was 18, like pretty much fresh 18. No idea how to cook, I had no idea how to do laundry, I literally knew nothing. And moving here, I developed this identity, I developed my sense of self. I went through loads of like different stages of mental well-being. I went through wanting to be free and just wanting to be away from my family. I wanted to be away from that box that I was put into while I was growing up. Kind of moved into this new sense of self of like, I'm free now, I can do what I want, I'm 18, I've got new friends, I've got people that literally don't know me from before, so I can be anyone that I want to be. And now that I have this new sense of self, it's not this is the thing, it's not really a new Clara, because it's still me. Like, it's still this person that I've always been, and I still have my strong like core values and things that have shaped me into who I am, and you know, reasons why I have become a social worker, or why I want to help people, why I want to like share my story on YouTube with people, so that other people who maybe feel the same identify with me and just see that they're not alone with this. All of those like core values that I've carried through my whole life are still there, and they're still with me, but I now think in a different language. I live in a different language. I don't know how to write a corporate email in German. I don't have that adult identity of being in Germany and like understanding this adult this adult world in Germany. I'm trying to navigate, or like trying to figure out what is it going to be when I actually move back, because I think I've got this idea of Germany from when I was still a child. And even though I like moved at 18, but I still went back quite frequently. Like I've been going back like at least once a year, every year since then. Essentially like I moved to England when I was 18 and trying to figure out that identity shift. It's going to be the same in reverse now, just that I'm grown up, I'm an adult. Let's say I know who I am. I think I'm probably going to change another 100 times in my lifetime, but I have a stronger sense of self. Going back to kind of the people that knew me when I was a child, or when I was 18, like my family who've known me my whole life, they've watched me change and they know that I have changed. It's still going to be strange for them, and I think especially for my parents, having essentially a new Clara living with them with her partner on top of that. Can't forget that. I think that's going to be really strange, and it's going to be a heavy like readjustment period. I think even though I'm always really honest with my parents, and like they know that I've got a very strong like set of core values and can be a bit headstrong at times, and I'm someone who likes to challenge people on things that they say, and I guess again that's probably why I'm a social worker. But I guess it's going to be tricky navigating that when I live with them, and it probably helps that we've had so many squabbles in the past few years, and I love my family deeply, but it's going to be really interesting, and I'm going to obviously take you on this journey with me, because I think a lot of people go through that, and a lot of people probably feel very alone with it. Moving in with your parents when you're an adult, a completely different ball game, another layer on top when you've lived in a different country for 10 years. I guess another thing that I'd like to also mention is this identity shift with language shifts. It's always been with me growing up, because growing up bilingual, you have almost these two separate identities that live inside you. And I know that there are so many like studies and so much research that's been done into how your identity changes when you speak a new language. That's what I find so interesting. I've always had these like different cultures. I guess what I mean by that is I grew up Croatian in a German country, in a German culture, and that's always been really strange. And like as a child, you're constantly trying to find out who you are, because your friends are German, got German parents who raised them completely different to like what your Croatian parents might be raising you like, and you're constantly trying to figure out where you fit in, because your German friends might not understand why your Croatian parents are not allowing them certain things that their parents are allowing them, or vice versa. It's like a constant like internal battle that you're fighting, because you're trying to understand while everyone around you is also trying to understand why you're different. That's always been really confusing, and I think even now still trying to understand how my different identities fit in with me, because sometimes I listen to Croatian songs, or not just Croatian, but like Serbian, Bosnian, any of those songs, and I just feel at home. Like I feel like I don't know if it's my inner child or like my inner sense of self just really feels seen and validated. And then other times I meet a German here in England, and it's really fun to talk about like Germany and how things are different in Germany and how they are different over here in England. Like I mentioned previously, I think in English, so I've got this like third identity and like third sense of self that my entire adult life I've lived in England, and I think I'm gonna find it really hard to deal with the German culture having lived in England for 10 years, because it's an entirely different culture. The bureaucracy and the paperwork is just crazy, and like the amount of importance that they put onto getting things done on time and getting things done properly, and like having everything ready, like all your paperwork always ready, and everything needs to be in physical copies, and like all these things I'm just gonna find really annoying. And that's only one side of it. That's only the kind of bureaucratic side of it. Also like I don't want to say the rudeness, but I guess the more like straightforwardness and the more like honest maybe also, because I think My ideal world would be a mix of literally Germany and England and maybe a bit of Croatian thrown into it for the food side of things. But I think I really value the German honesty, and I really like the kind of plain black and white. They will tell you what they need and they will tell you how they want it. But then I sometimes find that really hard, because in like your day-to-day, when you're constantly having to face pure honest and the pure, I guess you could say rude at times, it can be really draining and it can be quite exhausting. And it's like sometimes you can just be friendly, and like that's what I really value about England, is the sort of friendly and politeness. But then sometimes, or a lot of the times, which I find really annoying, is the kind of reading between the lines and like always second guessing if you know what they actually want from you. I'm going to find that really challenging, navigating the different cultures. And I know my boyfriend is kind of a little bit worried about that as well, navigating what we're used to and then, you know, the new culture that we're going into. I'm hoping I'm making sense, because I think I'm kind of losing my train of thought a little bit and getting quite lost in the kind of cultural side of things. But that is a really important factor, and I think people really underestimate how hard it is for people coming from a completely different culture into a new culture. And I'm only talking European cultures, so I can only imagine how it is for people that are coming from different continents. I think I'm just trying to like raise more awareness about that point, and about how I'm worrying about going back into a culture where I grew up in, let alone how people must feel that go into a completely new culture. And I guess to kind of conclude this video, I would like to think that I'm not erasing any of me or any of who I am, because that's what if I'm true to myself, that is what I tried to do. That is what I tried to do when I was 18. I tried to erase a part of me because I just didn't think it was good enough. The part, like the cultural part of me, like that part of who I am, I didn't want to identify with that. I've now tried to kind of develop a new self that's incorporated that old part of me that I tried to erase. And going back to Germany, I'm not erasing my English sense of self, because that is a really important part of me, and that is a part of me that I'm going to carry with me my whole life. I'd like to think that I'm just going to incorporate that into the part, or into the person that I'm going to be when I move back to Germany. It will also help that my partner will be there. He will keep me in check with speaking English, maintaining that, although I don't think I'm going to ever lose that, because it's like I've never lost my Croatian, I've not lost my German, it's just not as good as it was a while ago. I'm trying to just reframe the way I think of it, and that kind of fear that I'm carrying with, am I going to lose myself? I'd like to look at it as an expansion of who I am, and this part of me, I'm just going to expand it further with going back and taking on that new challenge. And like I mentioned before, you know, identities aren't fixed. People change all the time, and I'm probably going to change another 100 times in my lifetime. It's okay to just grow, change, refigure yourself, reevaluate yourself, change if you want to change, and accept those parts of you that you might find really hard to accept, because they are also a part of you, and they are just a big piece of a puzzle that makes you who you are. It's fun, and it's brave to keep evolving, to keep wanting to improve. I'd like to ask you, have you ever moved away and felt like you've lost yourself, or you felt like you've had to completely navigate a new culture and navigate how it fits into your old life or into your sense of self that you've developed? How have you found it? I think it's really fun reading other people's stories and hearing about other people's stories, and it makes me feel better to know that there's other people that have gone through similar things, and I'm sure it makes the community of people that I'm trying to build, gives you peace of mind knowing that there's other people that have gone through a similar thing. That probably summarizes my video. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you like these kind of videos, sit down, chat. I upload videos every week, and I'm trying to build a new community. Love if you subscribed and came back, and I'll see you next Sunday. Thanks, bye.